Hey everyone, welcome back to Welcome Life. I'm Pastor Josh, where I'm here to help you welcome Jesus and to welcome life into every part of your life. In this interview, I talked to Heather Hagelberger. I probably butchered her name again. You'll learn that in the interview. We talk about how she uses her daily job to worship God. In the previous interview, we talked to Crystal Erb. If you want to watch that interview, I'll put it right up there in the card for you. And she talks about the 4 aspects of worship being a lifestyle. In this interview, Heather talks about how her daily job, again, is a lifestyle. That you don't have to be up on the stage singing in order to glorify God, but that your everyday job can glorify God and show the love of Jesus. That worship truly is a lifestyle because when you work as glorifying God, that was where your life truly begins. So I hope that you enjoyed this interview, and I'll catch you later. Peace. So Heather, I'm going to butcher your last name, by the way. How exactly do you say your last name? Hagelberger?
Hagelberger.
Hagelberger. See,
yes.
I knew I was going to butcher your name.
Yes. But it's so funny because if we were in Germany, it would be Hagelberger or something with a German accent. But here in America, it's Hagelberger. So.
It's okay. I grew up in Louisiana. My last name's Golightly.
Mm-hmm.
People do not know how to say the last name Golightly.
That's because it's the South.
The
South, we don't know how to say things.
Well, then from Louisiana, go is always spelled Geaux.
Right.
And so when it's just spelled go, they're like, it's just go? Yes, it's go.
Yes.
But anyway, so, Heather, you've been up here in Alaska now for almost 3 years, right?
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in October.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what do you do up here in Alaska? What is exactly?
So what brought me to Alaska was a call from Wasilla Lake Church of the Nazarene to be their worship leader, and so I've been doing that ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were at youth camp a couple of weeks ago.
Which was lit.
Right.
Awesome.
And we were talking about how you actually got into youth worship ministry. So tell me again, because I love this story on how you got into worship ministry.
Yeah. So I started singing at church when I was like 5 with my dad.
I wish I could even sing.
Yeah, I was like 5. And so when I was 13, I joined a worship team at my youth group and was really involved in that. And then from there, felt like I was being led to do worship. I made some poor decisions in my life, though, and walked away from God for several years. And so when I came back to my relationship with Jesus, I felt this like nagging of I needed to go back into worship. And it was a struggle. I fought it. Because at that point I'm married with children and I was like, I can't make a living.
Right. Worship ministry does not pay the bills.
Not so much. But God doesn't like to hear no. So I knew I was supposed to go back to school. I had been a nurse for like 10 years. So I went back to school. And in the middle of my first semester, God very plainly told me that I needed to go do what he had called me to do and to stop messing around. And I tried to argue. And that went well, because here I am.
Your stories remind me of Moses a little bit, by the way.
Bit, yes.
Just a little bit. I mean, here he is. He's looking at a burning bush, and he's still arguing with it.
Right.
Seriously?
Yes.
I mean, here you are. Here's the sign, and you're still arguing. You're like, God.
Yeah. And I had tons of confirmation. After I made that decision, I knew it was the right decision to go back and start studying music. Mm-hmm. And then due to some familial changes, bringing Chase home for homeschool, I decided to do another shift and actually graduated with a degree in ministerial leadership, which was a wonderful foundation theologically and just in church ministry leadership in general.
Right.
So that coupled with my worship background and the music classes I took prior to switching my degree really gave me a strong foundation for where God has me.
Makes you a very good, well-rounded person.
Absolutely.
So is the Wasilla worship leader, is this your first worship leading position, or is this, have you helped worship other places since you in that degree, or?
Yeah, so it's my first official worship leader title.
Okay.
However, I have been involved in worship since coming back to my relationship with the Lord since 2010.
Oh, nice.
I've been on every worship team every church I've attended, I've been part of the worship team.
Okay.
And the church that I was last at in Florida, I was on staff as the worship ministry assistant. So did a lot of service planning and all of the details of that. It was a larger church, so there was a lot more involved
and doing
activities.
That. Yeah.
But I also led worship for our teens, our Celebrate Recovery youth program.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was super cool too. So, and getting to pour into teens who had a passion for learning how to worship.
Right.
And so we had teens who were playing electric guitar, keyboards, percussion, and so getting to and being able to sing with them too, and so helping them learn what it was like to use a gift that they had and use that to worship God was too very cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I always tell people jokingly, okay, Debbie, if you ever heard me sing, it's not the greatest.
I heard you sing at camp and you did great.
I did okay. I'm tone deaf. I am. I'm not afraid of it. I'm tone deaf.
All good. It's a joyful noise. That's what God wanted to hear.
Noise, exactly. But I always jokingly say, every time I go to a church, I don't have a person to lead worship. Hey, I can lead. Just let me on the stage. I mean, I can lead.
Yeah.
Because you know who Kurt Franklin is, right? Mm-hmm. You know who Kurt Franklin is.
Absolutely.
I've actually watched an interview with him. And he actually says, he'll admit he cannot sing. Mm-hmm. He'll admit that. But you watch him, and he is gifted in leading worship.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where we sometimes need to draw a line. Yeah. Is that, especially as a worship leader, you're leading us into worship. Mm-hmm. You're yourself worshiping God, but you're also leading people into worship. So with that being said, how would you necessarily define worship? Not just in life in general. So in your personal life, how would you do that?
I would say everything that I do, everything is some form of worship.
Okay.
Because God has called us to do everything that we do to His glory, and if He created us to worship Him, then all that I do is some sort of worship.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Needs to be in that worship.
Absolutely. So, having a singing talent is great, but that's not the end all be all.
Right,
because that's not the only way that I worship. I worship when I clean the toilet.
The toilet.
The toilet.
Oh,
listen. But it is, right? It's an act of worship. It's an act of service to those around me.
Right.
And so it's just a matter of reframing everything that we're doing to remember that even though it might seem like the lowliest of jobs or lowliest of duties, it's still something that is bringing us or bringing God glory.
Right.
Because we're doing it as an act of worship to Him.
Right. And I'll talk about Crystal's. I'll put Crystal's interview at the end of this video. Mm-hmm. But in her interview, before we did this one, you said that you watched it. She at youth camp, even though worship is a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no other form, like you just said. So with that being said, you just said you don't really get paid a lot as a worship leader. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's face it, it doesn't happen.
Right.
I love it when people say ministry pays a lot. I don't think those people have ever truly been in ministry.
Not any ministry I know about.
Most ministry is volunteer, actually. Majority
absolutely.
of it is. So what is your full-time job then? So what is it that you do to glorify God full-time?
Full-time, I work with victims of human trafficking.
Okay.
And I not only provide like case management where I'm helping them figure out how to get services that they need, counseling, where to go for healthcare, things like that, but I also help to facilitate a group of providers here in Anchorage where we are coming together and trying to just change the system, basically,
Right.
and establish protocols to be able to help these victims, as well as bringing about education and outreach to the community, because many people don't even realize what trafficking looks like, or that it's happening in our community or next door to them.
Right.
You know, the media has sensationalized that so much. So trying to bring it back down to what it actually looks like on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, that's my day job.
Nice. And you love it, don't you?
I do. I absolutely love it. God has given us all an identity, right? And victims of human trafficking are stripped of that so much so that they don't know who they are. They don't believe they have any worth. They don't believe that they can contribute to anything other than what they've been told that they can do.
Right.
And so being able to be a part of their journey, to be able to rediscover who they are, what their worth is, that they are valued, that they deserve to be treated with love and respect, and to see them come through that journey is truly, truly a blessing to me in my life. Because even though this is not a ministry job per se, and I work for a secular company, I get to pour into them the love of Jesus every day.
Every day. Hey everyone, I want to pause the interview for 1 quick second. I hope that you're getting a lot of this interview so far. If you do, it'd be nice if you just hit that like button. Just hit a thumbs up if it's really, really affecting you. And the question of the day that I have for you is, what is your daily job that you use to glorify God? What is it in your life that you use to worship God on a day-to-day basis? I'm a youth pastor, so I get to distribute content like this. I get to preach to people. But I just, everyone, the old cliche, I preach 1 day a week. That's what it feels like sometimes, but that's not always the case. But you in the workplace get to see people on a day-to-day basis. So what are some ways that you use that daily work job to glorify God? Put it in the comments down below and let me know. Let's get back into the interview. You probably seen the movie Priceless, which I love that movie.
Yeah.
I like you just said, I think that's the closest I've seen to, like, does that movie do a just job of portraying human trafficking? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it does a pretty good job.
I mean, you can't. It's like the Passion of the Christ. You can't truly do a movie. Can't truly do life justice. Okay, let's face it. It just can't.
Absolutely. And trafficking looks different in different places.
Right.
Here in Alaska, it might look different than it looks in Florida, or it looks in Costa Rica, or it looks in Australia.
Well,
it's so many different places. But to see the immense amount of manipulation and coercion that these victims endure, and somehow get out of it, they are so incredibly strong. And so for me, it's always the important thing to help people remember that even though they're fighting their demons, even though they're struggling with addictions, even though they may seem ungrateful for whatever
reason,
they have come out of horrific trauma that most of us will never understand.
So I love that. I mean, because your job is your worship to God. Your job is your glorifying to God. Like you said, it may be in the secular world. It may be in a secular job, but giving the hope of Jesus to the world. Actually, that's the whole point why I'm trying to do what I do is, as a youth pastor, is to give the hope of Jesus to the world. So, Heather, is there any way, I must say I have a huge audience by any stretch of the means, and if I do, then it's all for the glory of God.
Amen.
But where can we reach you at? Like, I know you're on the Facebook.
I am on the Facebook. I'm also on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter, but not really. Like, it's there. I might see a message from there, like, in 3 months. But you can DM me, you can Facebook, request me. Yeah. There's a lot of things going on right now that I will be posting about as they kind of cinch up and become official.
Okay.
As far as trafficking goes.
Okay.
And we're always looking for ways to incorporate worship just in any kind of activity. So opportunities to be involved with different events to do worship too.
Yep.
We're cool with that too. So,
nice. Well, Heather, thank you for taking the time out of your day for doing this quick interview with us, and I hope that everyone enjoys it.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.
That truly was an awesome, awesome interview with Heather. I hope that you learned that your daily job glorifies God, and it is a worship to God, whether you think it is or not. Whether you believe that what you do is really changing the world, but it truly is. When you love people, when they feel unlovable, I like what Heather talks about when she talks about that in sex trafficking and human trafficking, that their identity stripped from them, and she's giving it back to them while also showing the love of Christ. That's amazing to see the passion that she has to glorify God. So again, what are some ways that you glorify God in your day-to-day life? What is your job that you use to glorify God? Let me know. I would love to get in contact with you and learn about that. Tell them in the comments. Other people would like to know and learn that, hey, we're all in this together to glorify God. We're all in this together to love God and truly live a lifestyle of worship. So, again, I hope that you got a lot out of this content. If you did, hit the like button down below. Give me a good thumbs up. I look forward to seeing you on next time at Welcome Life, where again, we help you welcome Jesus into Welcome Life. Peace out.